This week on Unscripted, Dean Ambrose goes off the script on Monday Night Raw. Plus, WWE officials say how losing Vince McMahon would affect the company. And Tony Khan says AEW will give women a platform, and much, much more. This and more on the future #1 podcast right here on YouTube.com. This is Unscripted. What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost, and you're here for Unscripted episode 57 for your Saturday, February 16, 2019. We are one night away from the Elimination Chamber, where we will decide the first ever women's tag team champions, as well as who will be going to WrestleMania, most likely as the WWE champion, and a little bit more after that. If you haven't seen my predictions yet on the Elimination Chamber, make sure to check them out on the channel. They are there. But as we do every single week, we're going to talk about what happened on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. And of course, the two biggest things coming out of SmackDown was, not SmackDown, but Monday Night Raw was the minor big thing is that the Revival are your new tag team champions, and the Revival, after all this time, all this banter, all this stuff about them asking for the release, finally are the tag team champions for Monday Night Raw. You may ask why. Why did they finally give the Revival the tag team championships? 3 letters, AEW. Obviously. It is the biggest obvious answer of them all. AEW is the reason for that. The Revival wanted to leave WWE. They were sick and tired of WWE doing everything they could to disrespect the tag team division. I stated this, I believe in the episode 41, 42 or something like that, that a former person who used to work there, not Bruce Pritchard, but his brother, Dr. Tom Pritchard, stated in an interview that Vince McMahon sees no value in tag team wrestling. So the Revival are like, you know what, we're fucking done with this shit, we want out of here. They beat the Lucha House Party. Once to the back is like, you know what, we're out. WWE's like, nope, that's not happening, and we're going to do what we can to revive the tag team division. And in that same breath, they should have said, yeah, but we're going to give Shane McMahon and The Miz the tag team championships on SmackDown. So, yeah, lesser of two evils, I guess. The biggest thing coming out of Monday Night Raw was the saga of Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey and the McMahons. I didn't think about this immediately after Monday Night Raw, and I'm sure, and I haven't heard it from anybody until I listened to a clip from Busted Open with Mark Henry and his co-host. I don't know his co-host's name. What was the point of having Becky Lynch come out, sit there and contemplate all fucking night what she is going to do? Am I going to apologize? Am I going to throw WrestleMania away? What was the point of having her come out, say, Steph, and Triple H, I'm sorry, and then have Vince McMahon come out and pull the suspension anyway? And I'll take it from Busted Open what this guy said. He said what should have happened is she goes out there, does not swallow her pride, goes out there and is like, listen, you guys are going to screw me over one way or another. This isn't his words, this is my interpretation of it. These guys are going to screw me over. They can take that apology and shove it up their ass, and then have Vince McMahon come out and say everything that he said. The way that they took Becky Lynch as the hardest act in WWE and just tarnished everything that they've done with her so far, to have her go out there and apologize. I don't want to see anybody compare this to Stone Cold Steve Austin again. I don't want to even see anybody compare this to Daniel Bryan back in 2013-14. Those two never went out there and apologized to the McMahons. They went out there and got what they wanted by any means necessary. They didn't go out there and just be like, oh, I'm being told to apologize. Okay, I'm going to go apologize just for it to get me taken away anyway. You know how stupid that makes Becky Lynch look? That's just another case of dumb babyface syndrome. Becky Lynch is a victim of dumb babyface syndrome. And why did they do this way? To make Charlotte Flair the biggest heel in the company for the women and get all of of the hate, all of the heat that they had on Ronda Rousey off of her. And we'll find out on Monday or tomorrow if it worked. If we come into this match between Ronda Rousey and Ruby Riott, and she is cheered beyond belief, it worked. If we get to Monday Night Raw and she's starting to sit there and campaign for them to get Becky Lynch back into the match, which I hope the hell they don't. As far as it is, they've made Ronda Rousey a martyr, and they took the lesser of two evils. They wanted everyone to hate Charlotte, where she should be, mind you. Charlotte Flair should have been playing this role months and even a year before what happened on Monday and Tuesday. Charlotte Flair should have been that bitch heel. Charlotte Flair has never been a good babyface. Never. Never been a good babyface. To have her come out there and be a babyface with a smile, a cheeky smile, pandering to the fans and everything in the sincere way instead of, being a cocky heel that she was on Tuesday, makes no sense. But you killed your hottest freaking babyface. The hottest names in WWE in general are Tommaso Ciampa, number 1. Number 2 is Becky Lynch, and number 3 is Daniel Bryan. Before this past week. Now, it's Tommaso Ciampa, Daniel Bryan, and Becky Lynch is a very behind 3. You had people out there who are like, yeah, Becky's our woman, yeah, she's the man, just be like, oh, she's just like everybody else. She goes out there and she apologizes. She kisses the ring, and it's like, why would you do that? If you're gonna have Vince McMahon come out anyway, you knew Vince was coming out. Why the fuck would you have the quintessential hardest babyface out there apologize? Does Vince McMahon himself, is he this fucking stupid? This fucking retarded? Is mental retardation seeped into his brain or something? This was not a good look for Becky Lynch. And honestly, I think it damages Becky Lynch in the long run. Will it derail her completely? No. No. I mean, they'll have to do a lot more than that, but this is not a good sign for them. As we know, Becky apologized, out came Ronda Rousey, out came Vince, who suspended her for 60 days, which actually I think is actually more than 5 days after WrestleMania. I could have counted that wrong. But anyway, brings out Charlotte Flair, and that was the end of Monday Night Raw. Sorry, I had a little something in my throat. But, of course, that was your Monday Night Raw, and Monday Night Raw was just a terrible show after that. It was a bad idea. WWE, I know, I'm not mad about the fact that Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair is in this role, because Charlotte Flair should be in this role. Why did they put Ronda? Why did Vince McMahon put Charlotte Flair in this position to eventually make this a triple threat match? Simple. If this is going to be the main event of WrestleMania, and with the rumors of Ronda Rousey, this is what they say. The rumors of Ronda Rousey going away after WrestleMania, they want 2 superstars in their main event of WrestleMania to be here the next night and the next night after that or anything. They don't want one person to be... This would be like The Rock, which it was. The Rock faced John Cena at WrestleMania, and it was gone the next night. He came back the next year, fought John Cena at WrestleMania, and was gone. They don't want that. They don't want that between these. But WWE, we'll see where this goes from here. Now, when do we bring Becky Lynch back? It's real simple. Not this week, not the Aftermath show. And I think the reason they want to do this birthday bash in Atlanta instead of next week is because we have the aftermath of the Elimination Chamber, and you want to kind of, fill in the blanks there. The week after that, I don't want to hear Becky Lynch mentioned at all this week. I don't care what they say. I don't want to hear anything about Becky Lynch. Act like she's really suspended. Act like she's not going to be there. Don't say anything. I mean, Charlotte Flair talked about it on Tuesday, but Becky Lynch is a ghost this week. She is gone. I would have much more rather this stuff happen after Elimination Chamber. Let this be This is why I was hoping that they would have waited until after the Elimination Chamber, because it would have been a 1 week thing, and you know how WWE's long-term booking is. There's some people out there expecting Becky Lynch to make her presence known at the Elimination Chamber. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that because it's just WWE. That's laziness, in my opinion. WWE again showing that they can't book long term if Becky Lynch shows up on tomorrow night. The Elimination Chamber, we're going to definitely see Charlotte Flair there, even though she said, I have a front row ticket. Well, of course you do. This isn't a single branded pay-per-view anymore. They're all dual branded, which honestly, with the fact that the Elimination Chamber is coming up and the fact that we don't have a SmackDown Women's title match on the pay-per-view, and the United States Championship is doing nothing either, gives you a big indication of why they need to go back to single-branded pay-per-views and why I absolutely hate dual-branded pay-per-views. We'll get to that in a minute. Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott. I'm guaranteed we're going to see a stare down or some kind of interaction between Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. Maybe after the match they brawl a little bit, which I don't know. The only way that WWE, in my book, can rectify this entire situation is get Becky Lynch back into the match, and make it elimination, and Charlotte Flair goes out first via Becky Lynch. Becky taps out Charlotte. Then it's down to Ronda and Becky Lynch. And then Ronda and Becky Lynch go to however long they want them to. And Ronda Rousey puts over Becky Lynch. That would be better than anything else they want to do. I hate it when it's always like, Daniel Bryan beat Triple H and All of Evolution in one night. No, he didn't. He beat Triple H and Batista in one night. He didn't tap out Randy Orton. That's how it should be. We get a triple threat elimination match. Charlotte goes out. If it's any other way, Charlotte goes out. She taps out to Becky Lynch because that's what the biggest story of Becky Lynch overcoming the odds. Now, one of the biggest things is that they're talking about, the Fastlane pay-per-view, which is coming up next month, which, since these are all dual-branded pay-per-views, can we please get rid of Fastlane? It was the only reason they had it there when they had single-branded pay-per-views is because they wanted to have a pay-per-view for Raw and SmackDown going into WrestleMania, which was okay, I guess, but whatever. Can we please get rid of it? But there's a match between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch being talked about, being advertised for that show. If you're going to make this a triple threat match, I do not want that match to happen. That match should not happen, period. If it's a stipulation of if Becky Lynch wins, she gets her WrestleMania match, she gets back into the match at WrestleMania. What's the fucking point of having Charlotte Flair lose if she goes to WrestleMania? That's an indication that Charlotte Flair is going to end up winning, and nobody wants to see Charlotte Flair beat Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey in the same night. No. You got to think of something else. When it comes back to the birthday bash next week, not this week coming up, but the week after, Ric Flair has to be in the Disarm Her. I don't know if WWE is going to allow it, but Ric Flair has to be in the Disarm Her during this birthday bash. Of course, Charlotte's going to be there. Ronda will probably be there too. But Becky Lynch has to take out Ric Flair. There's so much more to unpack, and we have so much more to worry about when we get closer and closer to WrestleMania and see how this goes. This week, I don't see much being done, especially on SmackDown, since I don't think Charlotte should even be on SmackDown this week. Let other people do what they need to, because, quite honestly, she has nothing to do on SmackDown this week. If Becky Lynch isn't going to be on SmackDown this week, Charlotte Flair could either be at Raw or not on either show this week, just to give everyone a breather and let it all marinate. SmackDown, so of course, opened up with Becky Lynch. Not Becky Lynch, but Charlotte Flair. She mocked Becky Lynch. She mocked all the fans. She turned into the big cocky bitch heel that she should have been from day one and stayed as from day one to now. And the biggest thing of the night was for SmackDown, Kofi Kingston's heartwarming, heartfelt gauntlet, where he went through three superstars, Daniel Bryan, Jeff Hardy, and Samoa Joe, before tapping out to AJ Styles in an hour of a match. What you don't understand is the fact that that was supposed to be meant for Mustafa Ali. And with Mustafa Ali being out, it was really heartbreaking to know that was going to be Mustafa Ali's spot. That he was supposed to be the guy who goes an hour going through Daniel Bryan, going through Jeff Hardy, going through Samoa Joe. That would have been huge. And we'll talk about it more later, and my thoughts on what they did wrong in this thing. But when it comes to Kofi Kingston, it did nothing. Nothing for him, and it's going to do nothing. But SmackDown Live was Charlotte Flair. I keep saying Becky Lynch, but it's just... Alright, now, NXT was an okay show. We had Adam Cole versus Ricochet in the main event, Dominik Dijakovic versus Shane Thorne at the beginning of the show. The three of the four horsewomen decided to attack Vanessa Bourne, Tanara Conti, and who else? Aaliyah. But it was an okay show. We're definitely looking forward to this coming week, which is going to be the final episode of the tapings, in which Velveteen Dream takes on Johnny Gargano. That I cannot wait for. I'm picking Velveteen Dream because it frees up Johnny Gargano for the rest of the tapings, that whenever those are going to be taped, which will probably be next week. The rest of the tapings leading up to TakeOver New York, where Johnny Gargano finds his way into another match with Tommaso Ciampa and overcomes his demons, overcomes his emotions, and wins the NXT Championship at NXT TakeOver, whatever they're going to call it. Now, there was some confusion that people were thinking that NXT TakeOver was going to be called Blacklist Brooklyn. That is the VIP package for NXT. Every single TakeOver, from what I've seen, what I've heard, it's not the TakeOver name itself. I still think it should be called Brooklyn 5, but the fact that they're not going to be calling it Brooklyn, as far as we know, because Brooklyn is more in tune with summer, and it's not the Brooklyn NXT TakeOver in Toronto is not going to be in Brooklyn. But the simple fact is they're going to be in Toronto. It's going to be Toronto 2. I wish they would come up with a new name for these things. I like the old TakeOver names where it was like TakeOver Respect, TakeOver Arrival, that was NXT Arrival, TakeOver Rival, TakeOver Fatal 4-Way, TakeOver The End. Those names were awesome because of course they were all a Full Sail. You weren't going to call every TakeOver Full Sail. But I would rather have TakeOvers have a name to them. TakeOver War Games is awesome. You know, it's not TakeOver Philadelphia War Games edition or something. It's TakeOver War Games. It's just kind of lazy for them to just go with the name of the towns. We're going to go with New York this coming week. TakeOver Toronto, TakeOver wherever they're at for Survivor Series is going to be the War Games this year. Give me something else. Give me something else other than Brooklyn, even though Brooklyn is a staple. Give me the WrestleMania weekend one with a WrestleMania-esque name. Could be NXT TakeOver Mania weekend. I don't care. It's just like... I missed the names where it was like it had a tagline to it. TakeOver Respect, that was an awesome one. TakeOver Fatal 4-Way was, WWE did a Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view, and that one didn't go over really well. TakeOver Rival, that was an awesome name. Just my opinion. So no, TakeOver Blacklist is the VIP tickets, not the TakeOver name itself. Now, before we get into the news, I do want to touch on that dual brand pay-per-view thing. Why they need to go back to single brand pay-per-views outside of WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and the Royal Rumble is that you see the same matches too many times. What was one of the biggest problems with Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles and Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles? We saw it every single month. For Nakamura and Styles, we saw 5 matches. WrestleMania, the Greatest Royal Rumble, Backlash, Money in the Bank. And they had a singles match on TV that wasn't a pay-per-view, wasn't a title match, but still, that's 5 matches. Samoa Joe was SummerSlam, Hell in a Cell, Crown Jewel because of Daniel Bryan. That's 3 in it right there. It's just too freaking much. If you would have had last year with Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles, that rivalry would have been able to breathe a little bit had we had, say, SmackDown, like we had WrestleMania, X out the Greatest Royal Rumble. That doesn't happen. Just pretend that didn't happen. You would have had WrestleMania, Raw would have had the next pay-per-view probably, and then you would have had Money in the Bank. Well, SmackDown would have had that pay-per-view, which would have been fine. It would have been 2 matches. But then Raw would have had Money in the Bank, and SmackDown would have had Extreme Rules. So if you want to continue the AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura matches. And I mean, when I mean single brand pay-per-views, I mean once a month, not this 2-month bullshit that they did before. Go back to the original brand split from 2002 to 2011. From 2000, I think after WrestleMania Judgment Day 2003 until sometime in 2005, 6, 7, 8, or whatever, they had single brand pay-per-views once a month. So Raw got one pay-per-view, SmackDown got one pay-per-view, but they weren't in the same month. Why couldn't we do that this time around? They oversaturated the pay-per-views and just did way too many. I wish after we get past WrestleMania, whatever the pay-per-view is in May goes to Raw. SmackDown gets June. July goes to Raw. SummerSlam goes to both brands, of course. September goes to SmackDown. Raw gets October. Pay-per-view goes back to, November goes to Survivor Series, and then so on and so forth. You have a chance to mature, you have a chance in single-branded pay-per-views stretch out storylines. So you're not seeing Nakamura versus AJ Styles again and again and again. Nakamura, Joe and Styles again and again and again. Daniel Bryan and Styles again and again and again. It's just too much of the same thing. Then people say you can't have too much of a good thing. Yes, you can. In wrestling, yes. Do you think Kenny Omega, Alpha versus Omega 2, which is coming up for Double or Nothing, would be as intriguing or as good if, people would be excited for that match if you saw it at Wrestle Kingdom in 2018, and then at Dominion in 2018, and then whatever else they had. Like, you saw for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months in a row the same match over and over and over again. It would have just been they're doing another Kenny Omega Chris Jericho match. Please, I've seen enough of these. No, we've seen this one-on-one once. Not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, once. You're going to see it again at Double or Nothing. There has not been a match. They haven't wrestled each other in a singles match or at all outside of his cruise, which doesn't really count because I don't think anyone was able to see that outside of people who weren't there. So you have 2 matches between these two, a year and a half or so apart. That's how you do this. That's how you build this up. Same thing with Omega and Okada. Do you think Omega, 4 matches in a row? Yeah, they had a win, loss, and a tie each, and then there was the one where he won. Do you think people would have been invested in the Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada trilogy, trilogy or whatever it's called, the trilogy plus one? They had those 4 matches back to back to back, month after month after month? No. So the fact that we know WWE's creative can't figure out how to, continue on feuds, this is what we got last year, and it was just so bad. Now, of course, with the rematch clauses being antiquated, that's great because that can save us from having that problem. But AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura continued to have matches, not because Styles lost the title and they were having rematches that way. They kept that going on because of fuck finish after fuck finish after fuck finish after fuck finish. With single-branded pay-per-views, you don't have to have that fuck finish because you have the match, you finish, and you're done. And then between, say we get to May and we have Backlash, and Backlash goes to SmackDown, and it's Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan lost the title. Say Daniel Bryan loses the title to Wrestler A over here, and Wrestler A goes to Backlash and faces off against somebody, just a throwaway opponent. He beats him, and for the next month and a half, as you go from your pay-per-view to the next one that you're going to have, you can build up a credible threat. So when you get within 3 weeks before the next pay-per-view, boom, you have a new challenger. This isn't the Jinder Mahal shit where you have a 6-pack challenge and Jinder Mahal wins the 6-pack challenge, having no credibility behind him, yet he goes into Backlash the year before, in 2017, and wins the WWE Championship, even though he did not deserve it, or he was not credible enough to hold it. This is just how WWE is like, oh, we're lazy. Let's put all the superstars on one thing. And another problem, and I am not the only one who's going to say this, others have too, having superstars like an Andrade Cien Almas, Sanity, Mustafa Ali probably eventually, even with his injury. Superstars that you want to see on a weekly basis, you're not going to see that much. We haven't seen R-Truth in the last 2 weeks. Nakamura and Rusev were not on TV this week. Asuka hasn't been seen since the Royal Rumble, but I have news on that later. With having single-branded pay-per-views and having to have like, having dual branded pay-per-views as they do for everything, what's the fucking point of a brand split? Seriously, what's the fucking point of a brand split? Because everybody who's going to be, you have to showcase on every single episode, on most episodes of SmackDown and Raw, the people that you're going to have built for the next pay-per-view, which is 3 to 4 weeks away. Instead of, having time to breathe, having a dead period, which is going to be the first, which is going to be like if you have, say, like I said, Backlash is SmackDown, but Raw has the next pay-per-view, which is in June. In June. Well, that entire month of June, that second half of May, and that first half of June, you have to be able to showcase superstars that you're not going to see on that pay-per-view card. Look at NXT. Look at NXT. How many times... This is on the go-home show. The go-home shows to all takeovers, outside of maybe a promo or two, are mostly reserved for showcasing superstars that we aren't familiar with or who aren't ready for the takeover spotlight, but they want to put some stock into, so when we get to takeover, say 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months from now, you're going to see those people. It's like when Bianca Belair, who became a bigger name, would always be on those takeover go-home shows and wrestling matches because WWE and Triple H had faith in her to eventually put her in a position to where when we got to take over Phoenix this year in January, she was there. We don't have that on the main roster, and then you see guys like a Rey Mysterio who hasn't been seen in a while, a Shelton Benjamin who is gone, lost, I don't know where the hell he has been, shows up at the Royal Rumble, holy shit, I forgot he still worked for WWE. You have Sandy, who hasn't been seen since December. You have, I wish I had a list. I wish I had a list of WWE's roster, but I don't in front of me. I'm gonna have to start doing that probably. You get my point, though. WWE needs to go back to single-branded pay-per-views. If you want Elimination Chamber and Fastlane to be dual-branded pay-per-views, fine. It should build to WrestleMania. But from WrestleMania to Royal Rumble, you need to build new stars up. You need to showcase people. You bring up Nikki Cross, EC3, Lacey Evans, and Heavy Machinery, and they haven't done shit. Except for Nikki Cross. The only thing that's happened is that Nikki Cross went from babyface to heel, back to babyface in 2 weeks. EC3 beat Dean Ambrose in a fluke finish, only to lose the next week. Heavy Machinery's come close, but hasn't won a tag team match at all. Except for, I think they did have a match against a bunch of jobbers, I'm pretty sure. But they went in a fatal 4-way to determine number 1 contenderships to Elimination Chamber for SmackDown. And then they were on Raw and did the same thing and lost both matches. Lacey Evans has only been in the Royal Rumble and hasn't done anything. Lars Sullivan has been missing in action. This is just WWE being blinded by everything. They just don't know what to do with anything. And you wonder why Andrade Cien Almas has told his friends, don't come to WWE. It's not all it's cracked up to be. WWE needs to get their heads in their game and think of something. You want to give superstars more time. Cut the pay-per-views back to single promotions. The first few might stink a little bit and stuff, but it's fine because you're building up new stars. When we have when you have a pay-per-view that's SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown, in between the 2 SmackDown pay-per-views, you can see a Sanity, you can see an Andrade Cien Almas, you can see Rey Mysterio, and anybody else that I'm not thinking off the top of my head. Ty Dillinger, you can see the United States Champion do something. You can have mini feuds. You can have a big championship match on SmackDown Live that you could see maybe a pay-per-view quality to keep people invested. But the dual-branded pay-per-views, we have had this has been about a year. We have 1 more to go before this year, and I can already tell you that after WrestleMania, they need to go back to single-branded pay-per-views. You want to do your Saudi show, whatever's, but you need to go back. They need to go back to single-branded pay-per-views. This has been a hindrance since they went back to dual-branded pay-per-views completely. So the best of both worlds is never good. A pay-per-view should be championship main event, the heavyweight championship main events the show. You have the tag team championship, the women's championship, the mid-card title. Fine. You want to put those all in the match? Fine. That's 4 matches. But you gotta have the opener of that pay-per-view in the first few, like the first match or two, being people who are on their way up to be from the curtain jerkers to the headliners. The way they're doing it right now, you gotta throw all the big names in there to try and boost up those pay-per-view numbers. It's just not working, and WWE's product has suffered even more. Let me know what you think about dual-branded pay-per-views. Should they go back to single-branded pay-per-views? Should they keep the dual-branded pay-per-views? Let me know, because honestly, it's this Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which is going to be a train wreck tomorrow, especially that six-woman ladder, that six-woman tag team, or the Elimination Chamber tag team women's match is going to be trash. It is. I'm sorry. Outside of Daniel Bryan's defending the title in the Elimination Chamber, nothing else on this show outside of that and the Cruiserweight Championship is even worth talking about. Let's get into the news here. Another short one here. Dean Ambrose goes off the script on Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw on Raw, one of the most unexpected moments that took place, saw Dean Ambrose come out to the ring to confront Seth Rollins face to face. Rollins had just finished going back and forth with Paul Heyman, as seen in that video. When Ambrose entered and walked to the ring, Ambrose was handed a microphone from Rollins and then stated, "I only got one thing to say to you, slay the beast." He then exited the ring, took a seat as he waited for his match against EC3. On the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer revealed that WWE had more planned for Ambrose in the Rollins exchange on Raw this past Monday. Ambrose apparently had additional lines he was expected to deliver that would have incorporated the Shield, Roman Reigns, and the lead to the big conclusion of him slaying the beast. Instead, Ambrose took matters into his own hands and kept things brief. As reported, Ambrose turned down a recent contract offer from WWE and will reportedly not be signing with the company as his contract expires in April. Honestly, I think it was just good. It was better. The best thing that you could say is that it was probably just best left at Slay the Beast. Him having lines to incorporate the Shield and Roman Reigns would have just been like, really? WWE just can't go 1 month without mentioning the Shield and Roman Reigns. So I think Dean Ambrose took a shit promo that they gave him and made it a little bit better. So what does this guy care? He's going to be leaving WWE in April anyway. If they give him something, he wants to do it another way. What are they going to do? Fire him? Fine. He's leaving anyway. So I had no problem with him going off the script to deliver a Slay the Beast. Works for me. This one's interesting. What was the original plans for the G1 Supercard as we get closer to the Madison Square Garden event for New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor? Dave Meltzer reported that the original plans for Ring of Honor and New Japan's G1 Supercard main event at Madison Square Garden were going to be much different than what New Japan is currently working with. The main event is going to be Jay White, the new IWGP Heavyweight Champion, taking on the winner of the New Japan Cup. I hear it's either going to be Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tetsuya Naito, or Kazuchika Okada, one of those three. So that is what we're still expecting. But according to Meltzer, the plan was to have Kenny Omega retain the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Tanahashi and go on to face Okada for their 5th match at the G1 Supercard. But since Kenny Omega decided to leave for AEW, Tanahashi won the belt, so now the plan is for to have Jay White face the winner of New Japan Cup at Madison Square Garden, which will be Kota Ibushi, Tetsuya Naito, and Kazuchika Okada. I think I put Tanahashi in there, but it's Kota Ibushi. Meltzer is also reporting that Kota Ibushi's contract is exclusive with New Japan. While Ibushi was never booked for Double or Nothing, he was certainly in AEW's plan to be involved with Kenny Omega. So, Kenny Omega's decision to leave New Japan drastically altered what's going to be happening at the G1 Supercard. I am not surprised whatsoever. He's in high demand. They definitely want to be able to continue to work with Kenny Omega, and the fact that he is now going to All Elite Wrestling, I have a feeling, and this is just my opinion, I have a feeling that the G1 Supercard sold out in minutes because the belief that Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Cody Rhodes had a chance of being there. This was they were sold in September. I know the Young Bucks contracts were coming up. But, of course, back then, All Elite Wrestling was not a thing. There wasn't even talk of All Elite Wrestling back in September. The only thing that I think there was a little bit of rumblings of Jericho and JR working on a promotion with somebody, but there was no talk of All Elite Wrestling. So I guarantee you, fans who went to buy these, not all, because there are the fans of Ring of Honor who are going to want to see like a Jay Lethal and Marty Scurll, who's going to be there, and Juice Robinson probably soon, all these other guys, Bandito, all of them. But Kenny Omega, the Elite, just the Elite being there is going to drastically hurt all the G1 Supercards attendance and viewership, in my opinion. I'm going to check it out as best I can. I mean, if I can get a way to get the Fightful Network or whatever, Fight Network or the Honor Club at the time, I'll definitely check out G1 Supercard. But it's going to definitely be one of those things that it's going to be hurt because a lot of people probably expected the Elite to be there when they bought their tickets, and now that the Elite has their own wrestling promotion, it's gonna hurt G1 Supercard. Batista reportedly meets with WWE officials. As noted earlier this week, Pro Wrestling Suit, WWE had talked with former WWE champion Batista about possibly wrestling a match at WrestleMania 35 in April. Batista has been entertaining offers from AEW as they have interest in bringing him in, possibly for the AEW Double or Nothing event in May. In an update, PW Insider reports that the Animal met with the officials at WWE HQ in Stamford, Connecticut last Thursday. There's no word yet on how the meeting went, but the original report stated that Batista was 50-50 on returning at this point, based on how the talks with WWE has gone. Batista last appeared at SmackDown's 1000 in October and teased a match with Evolution partner Triple H. That match could happen at WrestleMania 35 as Triple H was cleared to return to training back in mid-January after suffering a torn pec. This past November, Batista is scheduled to start filming for the Dune movie in March of this year, but that does not rule out any in-ring return. First off, Batista versus Triple H should be held off. If they want to do Batista versus Triple H, it should be held off until the SmackDown move to Fox. That's going to be a show that they're going to need to load up, especially if Double or Nothing and Tuesday Night Dynamite comes in to be. I know they're not going to be competing with each other, but WWE is going to want to have a good showing for Fox on that first episode, and you definitely want to have a big match, and Triple H versus Batista would be a big match for that show, and it would also give Triple H a more time to recover and be sure that he is good to go, because you don't want to see a 100% healthy Dave Batista versus a 80 to 85% healthy Triple H. Triple H is, 50 years old next year, 50 years old this year? Why in the blue hell would you want to see Triple H versus Batista, where Triple H could rupture his pec again and then be out for another 6 or 7 months? Keep it off of WrestleMania and have it for that SmackDown match, that SmackDown show. Batista going to AEW, I don't see that happening. Yes, he's friends with Chris Jericho. There was an actual picture of him and Chris Jericho talking, having dinner or whatever. They took a selfie together. All that's fine and good. I don't see him going anywhere else but WWE. Just isn't. I don't see it happening. Will we see Batista back in WWE this year? I am going to say I am 75-25. 75 yes, 25% no. But the simple fact is, not because of him. If it was all up to him and WWE was like, just name your price, we'll have you in, 100% yes, he'd be back in WWE. The reason I say 25% no is because of WWE. He was rumored to be Ronda Rousey's partner going into WrestleMania. He called Triple H to be talking about this, and what happened? He didn't hear back from him. He talked to them. He called them up. He pitched the idea of being Ronda Rousey's partner, and next thing you know, he calls them up, saying, "Hey, what's going on?" and never heard back from them. Vince McMahon is petty as fuck. Triple H and Stephanie are probably petty as fuck too. Batista left them in 2014 after coming back and was like, they are jealous that he got big on his own. He went and did the Guardians of the Galaxy movie without WWE's backing. They didn't think, they were hoping he would have failed. They were hoping he would have failed and came crawling back to them, just like the good boy they expected him to be. Oh, your movie didn't do too well. That's okay. We're here for you. But nope, Guardians of the Galaxy blew up. Guardians of the Galaxy was a smash hit. Then they did Volume 2, and he's in the Avengers Endgame, which is coming out this year. as well as if he's still a part of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, then that's another big movie for him. This guy is definitely in high demand, and he wants to have one more match with Triple H, a retirement match, which honestly, if I was him, I would have Triple H, I would have a WrestleMania match with like Randy Orton or somebody new or somebody, whoever they want, and then build towards that match with Triple H on SmackDown, where he was for a while the ace or the head of SmackDown. When Undertaker started getting less and less time, Undertaker was the SmackDown guy for so long, but then Undertaker was older and wasn't being featured as much. Batista was there, and then Batista left, and then Edge took that spot, and it was like your three alphas on SmackDown were Edge, Batista, and Undertaker at one time. They were the three-headed monster. They were the three big names. So him having his retirement match on SmackDown would probably be a big deal, especially if it was on that show. That show, the opening of SmackDown on Fox. I don't know, we'll have to see, but I'm 75-25, and it's not because of him. If he wants to come back, but it's the fact that Vince McMahon and Stephanie McMahon and Triple H are petty as fuck because he got successful without them, and they don't know what to do with it. People are like, oh, so did The Rock. No, because The Rock was set up with all of his stuff by WWE. The Rock got to where he was. I think The Scorpion King, which was his first movie, was actually done with the help of WWE. He got all the stuff, like the TV parts and everything, the Saturday Night Live, all through WWE. They helped get The Rock to start his skyrocketing. Batista did it on his own. And as we know, Vince McMahon wants to be wants to be the one. Like, Vince McMahon doesn't like it when things are done on their own. If he didn't have a hand in it, he doesn't care. And he will be petty as fuck, and that's exactly what he wants to do. This next portion, though, WWE brass on how the loss of Vince McMahon could impact WWE. A recent 10-K SEC filing by WWE included an article about what the company would do if Chairman CEO Vince McMahon was unexpectedly retired, suffered a disability, or death, or other unexpected termination for any reason. And for that last one, anyone who says other unexpected termination for any reason, oh, he owns the WWE, it's his baby, but he is the CEO of a publicly traded company. If the shareholders or the people who are, the shareholders and the board feels Vince McMahon can't do this anymore, they can walk up there, they can have a meeting and vote to get him out. And honestly, I think they should. They could vote him out if they wanted to, and he would no longer be in charge of WWE. The following reads this. In addition to serving as chairman of our board of directors and chief executive officer, Vince McMahon leads the creative team that develops the storylines and the characters of our programming, including our television, WWE Network, and other programming, and live events. From time to time, Mr. McMahon has also been an important member of our cast of performers. The loss of Mr. McMahon due to unexpected retirement, disability, death, or unexpected termination for any reason could have a material adverse effect on our ability to create popular characters. Bullshit! Go look at NXT. He has nothing to do with those characters' creations. Go look at NXT. Go look at NXT. He had nothing to do with. He had nothing to do with anybody who was created down in NXT. He had nothing to do with the build of Finn Balor. He had nothing to do with the build of Kevin Owens as the most hated bastard in WWE. He had nothing to do with Seth Rollins. He had nothing to do with anybody who comes up from NXT. And none of them. Now, look at Ty Dillinger. The 10 Chance got over in NXT. They were getting over on the main roster. Vince McMahon killed it. Why? Because he had nothing to do with it. If the 10 Chance were done by Vince McMahon, and he said, if Vince McMahon would have been the one saying, you should put your hands out and make this like he does and say 10, and they got over, Vince would fucking love it. But he doesn't. Don't give me that bullshit. Creative storylines could otherwise adversely affect our operating results. Mr. McMahon had established Alpha Entertainment to explore investment opportunities across the sports entertainment landscape, and Alpha Entertainment LLC plans to launch a professional football league in early 2020. I will be covering the XFL when it starts next year. If you don't like it, too bad. While he has provided the company assurance that his focus on WWE will not be diverted by these efforts, any such diversion of perception of such division could adversely affect our operating results and could have a material adverse effect on our stock prices. Vince McMahon has assured the company that he will remain focused on his WWE duties after his XFL Football League relaunches in 2020. As it is stated in the filing, WWE acknowledges that Vince's focus shifting from WWE to XFL could have a negative impact on stock prices and their operating results. First and foremost, I will agree, yes, the stock prices will go down no matter what happens. If Vince McMahon was to retire, die, or be terminated or whatever, yes, stocks are going to go down. That happens with any publicly traded company. You fire the CEO steps down, or anything else, the stocks always go down, but they come back up if you know. If the right person succeeds the previous person in charge, prices will go back up, everything will go back up. The fact that you want to sit there and say, it will have an adverse effect on creating popular characters, creative storylines, and could adversely affect operating results. Popular characters and creative storylines. Did you watch Monday Night Raw? Did anyone watch Monday Night Raw? Tell me, what creative storylines were being run on Monday Night Raw? Outside of maybe what they, like, look at Charlotte, like, what did I talk about, like, the first 20 minutes of this fucking episode? Becky Lynch, what was the fucking point of having Becky Lynch go out there? If you're going to have Vince McMahon come out and suspend her and pull her from the match like they did on Monday, what was the fucking point of having her come out and apologize to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon? What did that do? What exactly did that do? Popular characters? Gee, I don't know. Who's popular outside of Becky Lynch and Daniel Bryan to an extent? Or Mustafa Ali, who none of these were created by Vince McMahon. Daniel Bryan probably has more hand in his character creation than anybody else. He probably has a lot of things that happen on his character is probably done by him. Approved by Vince McMahon, yes, but that doesn't mean Vince McMahon created it. There are horror stories coming out of the creative room that everything that these creative writers who have passion, they love what they do, they have so many creative ideas. Why don't we see them on TV? Vince Kennedy McMahon. That's why. Vincent Kennedy McMahon is the reason for that. I've heard, I think it was Justin Roberts said there was a paper. What was it? A bin that says creative ideas above it. Drop it in there. And what was below there? Put it on a paper and drop it in there. What was it? A paper shredder. Give me a fucking break. WWE will be in a much better spot with creating popular characters and creative storylines after Vince McMahon is gone. When was the last time? When has Vince McMahon himself ever created somebody? The Undertaker? Okay, I'll give him that one. Goldust? Okay, I'll give him that one. Razor Ramon? I guess so. Diesel? Okay. But Diesel was not as popular as everyone thinks he was. What? Okay, I'll say this again. In the last 10 years, what is that? Who has Vince McMahon himself created for a popular character? How many has Triple H created? Probably quite a few. Ty Dillinger, the Vaudevillains, the Hype Bros, the Ascension in NXT, Seth Rollins, the Shield, which I'm pretty sure was actually Triple H. I guess I could say the Shield maybe. I'm sure Triple H and Vince McMahon had to go over that one. Actually, no, that was CM Punk. My bad. That was CM Punk. Yeah, so I don't that entire thing right there, the ability to create popular characters and creative storylines. Just go watch Monday Night Raw and tell me how much bullshit that is. This is all Vince McMahon, and that is all there is to it. And Vince McMahon can't create a character to save his fucking life or great storylines. And yes, I will be covering XFL football next year. When there's an announcement, they did have Bob Stoops as their first coach in Dallas. That's a great thing for them, but I will have coverage of that as it goes because I want to be supportive, even though the Alliance of American Football beat them out to the gate 1 year and is already starting off good. Will it continue? Who knows? Will the XFL succeed? We don't know until next year. Moving on here. Update on the women's tag team titles. How will these work? According to reputable WrestleVotes account, who has broken several stories in the past, WWE will feature the women's tag team titles on both Raw and SmackDown. It was noted that it won't happen on a weekly basis, but there will be more of a crossover with the women's division appearing on both shows. That was it. That was the whole tweet. My problem with that is why have a brand split in the first place? If you wanted to do women's tag team titles, which obviously back in 2016 there was no talk of women's tag team titles. In my opinion, I would have went with women's secondary titles. Because you have a better chance of having, like you have Ronda Rousey as your women's champion. You could have Bayley and Sasha Banks, feuding over the Intercontinental title for the women's championship. That would have been amazing. Having those two have something to feud over. While on SmackDown, you could have had Naomi and Mandy Rose feuding over the United States Women's Championship. Or something. It doesn't have to be the same title. It could be something else. But, you get what I mean. So, if you're going to do this, just put all, in 2016, put all the women on Raw, all the tag teams on SmackDown, have one division on each, and you would have been fucking fine. This is going to lead to the brand split being ended. Here's the problem. Here's the biggest problem and why this is not going to last. Fox has already stated they want nobody, absolutely nobody from NBC Universal's Raw, Monday Night Raw, which is on NBC Universal and USA. They want none of them on. They don't want crossover. They don't want crossover, period. So how are they going to make this crossover work when we get to Fox in October? I mean, yeah, they can do it between now and they can call it more women and eventually split it off and have Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship, Tag Team Championships. But for right now, yeah, you only have what? One legitimate tag team on SmackDown, which is the Iconics. Two tag teams on Raw that actually really matter in the Riot Squad and Bayley and Sasha Banks, and everyone else is really thrown together. Yeah, there you go. Continue with WrestleVotes. What is the plans for Asuka? Twitter user WrestleVotes reported the following about Asuka's WrestleMania 35 plans for SmackDown Women's title. Been getting a ton of Asuka questions as they tweeted. As far as I know, they do have a plan for Mania, just wasn't wise for Asuka to be featured the last few weeks. WWE doesn't want excessive brand jumping prior to WrestleMania, leaving only Lana or Vega for a chamber match. But that's not a pay-per-view match WWE wanted. Zelina Vega versus Asuka, I could actually see being a match, not a pay-per-view match, maybe a SmackDown match, but yeah, Lana would have been nowhere near that now. And I figured there was a reason why Asuka wasn't on WWE TV for the last 2 weeks, because they really didn't, because of the tag team championships that they're doing for the women. Everyone but Lana and Zelina Vega is in that match for SmackDown outside of Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. Now, who are they going to have Asuka face at WrestleMania? Honestly, I don't know. I suggested a six-pack challenge with Charlotte Flair winning it. Honestly, that's the only thing I could think they're doing without Charlotte being in it. A six-pack challenge with Asuka, Naomi, Carmella, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, and one of the Iconics. And there you go. There's six. Unless you want to take Mandy Rose or Sonya Deville out and give it to Lacey Evans, and there's your WrestleMania match for the Women's Championship at SmackDown. You get a six-pack challenge. Because quite honestly, there's really nobody else for Asuka to face, and Asuka can beat whoever the hell they have. Asuka can beat all of them. And then it's going to be a six-pack elimination match, and Asuka wins. There you go. Speaking of Asuka, a Raw superstar wants to face Asuka for her title. Raw superstar Natalya has her eyes on a possible match with SmackDown Women's Champion Asuka. Now that Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch have entered the title shot for the Raw Women's Championship, Natalya wrote on Twitter, "SmackDown girls coming over to Raw to face our Women's Championship. I want to play that game." Now, quite honestly, this would be interesting, even though Natalya she's good, but she's just somebody nobody cares about. She moved to Raw when Asuka moved to SmackDown, so they haven't had a match yet. Could I see that at WrestleMania? Maybe, possibly. I don't know. If you want to do this and you want to do this whole brand split thing and just have the women go from left to right, I still say it should happen at pay-per-views. For Fastlane, Since the Elimination Chamber is already taken up for the women, and it's a tag team Elimination Chamber match, which I would much rather have a Elimination Chamber match to see who faces Asuka at WrestleMania, which I honestly would have been more inclined to. 3 from Raw, 3 from SmackDown, winner goes to WrestleMania because of the Royal Rumble. Have a battle royal at Fastlane. I don't care. For everybody who's not in a title match on that show, you can have Lacey Evans and Nikki Cross, and then all these other women, and it comes down, and Nikki Cross wins, and you get Nikki Cross versus Asuka at WrestleMania, if you want to do it that way. I honestly think if you were to have a way for Nikki Cross to win a number 1 contendership to face Asuka at WrestleMania, me and everybody else who loves Nikki Cross would not be mad about that. Did you see the last woman standing match those two had at NXT, which, by the way, was in that 7-hour stream that they had? That was a great match, and I think, given the time, Nikki Cross versus Asuka, which I see Asuka winning, could steal the show, could be a show stealer at WrestleMania. Moving on here, Bray Wyatt, update on him. Bray Wyatt has not been seen on WWE television since last summer, but according to Mike Johnson, a PW insider, Wyatt is very close to an in-ring return, and the hopes are that he can be medically cleared by WWE for a full-time in-ring return very soon. Wyatt did make a brief return against Corbin for the live event in Columbus, Ohio this past December. The appearance led many to believe Wyatt was close to returning to WWE television, but Wyatt has remained off TV and has spent some of his time away from the ring posting cryptic messages on social media, which hinted at a possible change in creative direction, but nothing official has been revealed yet. A babyface role, a singles babyface role would be fun, would be interesting to see for Bray Wyatt. I mean, he did that the Leader of Worlds with Matt Hardy for 4 or 5 months last year. I don't know what they could do for Bray Wyatt exactly. I think he'll be held off till after WrestleMania. But what will that do for him? I'm not sure, because Bray Wyatt's been gone, and I mean, absent makes the heart felt fonder, or whatever that thing is. And it's just depending on what they're going to do, who is going to target, and will he be the guy who talks shit and loses, or the guy who can talk himself into a match and win? I don't know. Bray Wyatt is one of those mysteries. It's like, what can they do with him? They've already ruined his character. Him winning the WWE Championship in 2017 was the highlight of his career. Him losing it at WrestleMania in one of the most lackluster WWE Championship matches was I still say it should have been the other way around. Bray Wyatt winning the Royal Rumble and then winning the match at WrestleMania, with Randy Orton winning the WWE Championship at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. But that's just me. WWE NXT women could possibly be working SmackDown Live shows. Mike Johnson also reported that a couple NXT biggest female superstars will be making their way to the main roster for SmackDown's March live show loops. Johnson confirms that both Candice LeRae and Kairi Sane will be working SmackDown's live shows in the month of March. Both Sane and LeRae were entrants in this year's Royal Rumble match. Sane teamed up with Natalya to eliminate both Riot Squad members, Sarah Logan to the match. Both women were eliminated by Riot Squad leader Ruby Riott. So while nothing is official just yet, could we see Sane and LeRae team up against the Riot Squad? Sound off, I don't think they need to work of course, usually when you work the house show circuits like a Nikki Cross did, like others have done before, that means you're close to being called up. I don't see a reason to bring Candice LeRae up yet. Candice LeRae was a fixture for a moment, and then she kind of just disappeared. They did the Johnny Gargano stuff. She had that moment where she was coming out with the black lipstick, black hair, looking all moody and everything, looking like there was a dark side to her. And then she had a match with Nikki Cross at the TakeOver War Games Aftermath show, which was taped, of course, before War Games. And we didn't see her again until she came out to stop Johnny Gargano from shaking the hand of Tommaso Ciampa. And we really haven't seen much of Candice LeRae. Other than the Royal Rumble, when was the last time, and the War Games match, when was the last time Candice LeRae wrestled on NXT regularly? She's not there yet. I think we still have to have a little bit of more time with Candice LeRae. Kairi Sane, the biggest problem with having Kairi Sane come up is it's been rumored that Vince McMahon doesn't see pushing more than one Japanese superstar at a time. And Asuka is the Japanese superstar being pushed right now. So what does that tell you for Kairi Sane if she was to be brought up? Not really good. Not really good. I think these two need to stay down in NXT. And with the rumors of them moving having Raw and SmackDown stars, like SmackDown and Raw women's stars, integrating with each other and on a semi-regular basis, why would you need to bring up NXT stars who aren't ready to come up yet? How long is Dana Bryan under contract with WWE? This past week's Total Bellas featured a segment with Brie trying to encourage her husband, WWE Champion Dana Bryan, to take advantage of a large platform he has to use social media more to expand his brand, which would open the doors for future business opportunities. Which honestly, I feel like Dana Bryan would not do that. That's not him. That's not him. Brie might be that kind of person, but that's not Dana Bryan. Brie even tried to get Bryan to hire a brand manager, but Bryan wasn't interested and said he really doesn't want to sell things to people. Not his thing. The episode saw Bryan reveal that he signed a 3-year guaranteed contract with WWE back in September 2018. The current deal would keep Bryan signed with WWE until the fall of 2021. Daniel Bryan officially with WWE until September of 2021. So, that is, we've all been wondering, how long did Daniel Bryan sign for? Well, there's your answer. September 2018, he signed a 3-year guaranteed contract. I'm sure if you watched the episode, they said how much it was for. I don't care about the numbers. It's his money. He wants to make money. Fine, whatever. But he is at WWE for the next 3 years. Bryan is currently, of course, scheduled to defend his title on Sunday's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view Inside the Chamber against Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Jeff Hardy. There's no one yet on who Bryan will be wrestling at WrestleMania in April, but he's advertised to defend the title against Joe and Styles in a triple threat match at Fastlane in March. Yeah, I kind of figured that one, but we'll get to that later. This one's the heartbreaker right here, and I'm going to talk about that gauntlet match here in a minute. As we know, the gauntlet match happened on Tuesday. WWE apparently had big things planned for Mustafa Ali in the gauntlet match on this week's Elimination Chamber Go-Home show. Ali was pulled from the gauntlet match and from Sunday's title Elimination Chamber match due to a concussion. His spot was given to Kofi Kingston, and Kofi ended up putting up a strong performance in the gauntlet, going more than an hour. Russell reports that the story that unfolded with Kofi in the gauntlet was the same story that was to unfold with Ali. As soon as Kofi Kingston pinned Samoa Joe, I was like, this was supposed to be what they were going to do with Mustafa Ali. Didn't change a damn thing. Mustafa Ali was going to do everything that Kofi Kingston did, minus a couple spots. It will be interesting to see what this means for Kofi in the chamber this Sunday. As noted, Kofi was praised by many fans and wrestlers on social media after the gauntlet. The WrestleVerse reports has noted that due to Tuesday's performance, Kofi has momentum with people backstage in the company, not just with the fans. Sunday's chamber match, of course, as we already said. So it's really heartbreaking to know that a guy like Mustafa Ali, who's brand new to SmackDown, hasn't even been on for 3 months, on that roster for 3 months, they have stock in this guy, and they were going to push him to some extent where I believe he could still face Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, barring any more injuries. And as I stated, I believe it was last week, I think it was last week, or on Tuesday, that Mustafa Ali last year was on the pre-show, the kickoff show, wrestling for the vacant Cruiserweight Championship, and to go 1 full year later, challenging for the WWE Championship, I guarantee you this is what they were going with. They were going to do the Summer of Rollins with Mustafa Ali and have this guy end up going into WrestleMania to face Daniel Bryan, and the story would be told that 1 year ago, I was on the kickoff show wrestling for the Cruiserweight Championship, and 1 year later, I'm on the main show wrestling for the WWE Championship. And it sucks to all end that a guy who would have been a made man had to miss out on this opportunity this past Tuesday due to an injury. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. With Kofi Kingston getting momentum going into the chamber this Sunday, I don't see him winning, but I can see him putting on a strong performance again. He'll probably start the match, maybe have an elimination or two, do some kind of crazy stuff. I don't know. I feel that and I said this, I believe, yesterday too, it's going to come down to Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston. And the Santino Marella in the Elimination Chamber where he hit the Cobra, had Daniel Bryan pinned, 1-2, kick out, and the crowd was hoping that would have been it. That would have been him going to WrestleMania as champion. I think we're going to have that moment again. I don't think he's going to win. Daniel Bryan is too good to be taking the title off of him. But this could lead, the advertisement of Daniel Bryan versus Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles is card subject to change. I don't think Kofi gets the match at WrestleMania. I think Kofi gets a WWE Championship one-on-one with Daniel Bryan at Fastlane. I don't know what they're going to do with Mustafa Ali now. It's if you look at everything that's happened since last Sunday, the fact that he got pulled from the chamber, the gauntlet match, pulled from the chamber, what he was supposed to do, went to Kofi Kingston. Man, he would have been a made man, and I'm pretty sure that would have led to a WWE Championship match at WrestleMania. It could still, but it's going to be hard sell. Now, why they didn't change the end, the way they up until Samoa Joe's getting pinned, I think the gauntlet match was good. With it not being Mustafa Ali, they should have changed the finish of Samoa Joe and Kofi Kingston and had Samoa Joe beat Kofi Kingston to give him a little bit of momentum going into the chamber. Making Samoa Joe get pinned the Bret Hart Bam Bam Bigelow way kind of makes him look bad. What is with WWE wanting to make Samoa Joe look so bad going into every pay-per-view? Like, the guy needs to stop talking shit and start getting something going. I don't see him winning that match on Sunday. I hope Samoa Joe gets at least an elimination or two. Like, have the Baron Corbin, like, not Baron Corbin getting eliminated, but have, like, him throw people, like, when he comes in, have him come in, like, second or third. Have him throw, like, the third or fourth person into the match. Have someone get thrown into the empty pod. Have all this happen. But Samoa Joe needs to put something on and make it look good. But again, I see Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan coming down to the final two in this match on Sunday, and this was going to be Mustafa Ali probably too. Maybe, I don't know. And Kofi Kingston hits the Trouble in Paradise. He's like, and it's like, oh my God, we're going to have a new champion. 1, 2, kick out. Or lights go out, lights come back on, Rowan's in the ring. And Rowan's destroying Kofi Kingston. That's what I think we're going to get at. That's why I think we're going to get Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan at Fastlane, because Daniel Bryan's going to have Rowan, like, light's going to go off, light's going to go back on. Rowan's going to be in the ring, destroying Kofi Kingston. No disqualification, they can't start the match. Kofi gets destroyed by Rowan. Lights go off, lights come back on. Daniel Bryan, who's down, crawls over, pins Kofi Kingston. 1, 2, 3, still champion, and we go to Fastlane. And then Kofi Kingston can come out on Tuesday and be like, listen, I had this match won. I had that WWE Championship, like, in my hands. And then the lights went out. The next thing I remember is hearing the mat hit the third, the hand, like the ref's hand hitting the third time as I'm getting pinned, or whatever line they want to use, and he challenges Daniel and Shane McMahon, whoever of the McMahons comes out and gives Kofi Kingston, because of what happened, a shot at the WWE Championship one-on-one. I think his first would be his first ever one-on-one championship match for the WWE Championship at Fastlane, and there you go. That's what Kofi Kingston gets. Will we see what happens after that? I don't know, but I think Kofi Kingston will come so close to being champion for Rowan to screw him over, and then that leads to Fastlane. Let me know what you think. Jimmy Uso. I thought it was Jimmy Uso last year too, but no, it was Jay actually. So February, I believe it is not a good month for the Usos. Last year was Jay, this year was Jimmy. TMZ reports that Jimmy Uso was arrested after a drunken dispute with cops in Detroit this week. Jimmy and his wife Naomi were reportedly pulled over near downtown Detroit after Naomi was driving the wrong direction on a one-way street. According to the police, cops say Jimmy and Naomi were driving a 2018 Dodge Journey that reeked of alcohol. They ordered Naomi out of the car, and while talking to her, Jimmy got out of the car and took off his shirt and jacket, then squared up with the police like he wanted to fight. Despite the commands from the police to stay where he was. A police officer reportedly pulled his taser, which I'm glad it says taser and not gun, because we all know where this goes if it was gun, because he feared for his safety. Jimmy ended up settling down and complied with the commands from police. He was handcuffed and arrested for disorderly conduct and obstruction. Jimmy was taken to jail and later released full on bond. There is no word yet on what WWE will take against Jimmy Uso. If any, the Usos are currently scheduled to face Miz and Shane McMahon for the tag team titles on Sunday. They did put out a statement that said Jonathan Fatu, which is Jimmy's real name, is responsible for his own actions. This happened last year with Jay. He got arrested for, I believe, drunken driving. The only punishment that seemed to happen with Jay Uso last year was before he got arrested, they were doing that advertisement where that promotional campaign that you could win a trip to Universal with Naomi and the Usos. Well, and they all three were in the commercial. After the arrest, it was down to it was like you can win a trip to Universal with Naomi and Jimmy Uso. Jay got taken out of that. That was the only thing that kind of hurt him. That's the only thing that happened, is that he got taken out of that promotional thing. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to change the match at all on tomorrow night. Nothing about that at all is going to change, but that is that. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer reports in a recent update on Seth Rollins. According to Meltzer, Rollins is ready to go, but WWE is playing it safe to make sure that the star is as rested as possible for WrestleMania. It's being said that Rollins could wrestle again now if needed, but the brass wants Rollins fully healed for Lesnar in New York City. Not a surprise there. It's just WWE taking precautions, because the last thing you want is to have a serious injury to your one half of your Universal Championship match and be like, oh, we fuck. So we don't expect to see Seth Rollins wrestling anytime soon or that often at all. It's actually smart. He doesn't have to wrestle. And the only benefit, I think, to Brock Lesnar being the Universal Champion going into WrestleMania, and I know it's only a benefit, this is the only benefit I can think of. Usually, heading into WrestleMania or heading into a big pay-per-view, you would see the champion and challenger thrown into a tag team match with two other people, so you have these two touching or fighting before their match. We don't get this time. This is like the syndrome we had with Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey going into the Royal Rumble. Sasha Banks and Bayley took on Natalya and Ronda Rousey 2 weeks before the Royal Rumble, I believe. What was the fucking point? And you had the bank statement on Ronda Rousey going into the Royal Rumble. Was that the go-home show? Either way, I don't want to see that. That's the only benefit of Brock Lesnar having the WWE Universal Championship, because you won't see those matches because Brock doesn't wrestle on main roster TV or Raw TV. As long as Seth Rollins gets there at 100% or close to as he can, and we get an excellent match, because the build is just going to be shit. We all know that. The build is just going to be terrible. I'm fine with this. New non-WWE appearance announced for The Undertaker outside of his Inside the Ropes, which is coming up soon in the UK. The Undertaker is taking a booking outside of World Wrestling Entertainment, as reported by Sports Illustrated. The Denman will appearing at Starrcast 2 as a guest. The show will run alongside All Elite Wrestling's Double or Nothing pay-per-view event on May 25th. The Undertaker has experienced its own standalone experience at Starrcast, said Conrad Thompson. We are so proud to bring the Undertaker experience to fans this Memorial Day weekend at Starrcast 2. His appearance will be a standalone experience, and details should be revealed soon. So basically, you have to, you pay a ticket to go to Starrcast, then you get the Starrcast, but you have to pay a separate ticket, and I believe have a gold band or something to see the Undertaker. People were losing their fucking mind. People were going, "Oh my God, Undertaker's all in." No, this is just Starrcast 2 is not in association with just Double or Nothing and All Elite Wrestling. It's for everything wrestling. Same thing as the first Starrcast. It wasn't just for All In. It was for everybody. You saw people there for it was like a WrestleMania weekend for any promotions without having to have a WrestleMania weekend. It's like the WrestleCon. It's like another WrestleCon for everybody. I wish I could go to that. It sounds like it's going to be an awesome time for everyone at StarCast. If you're going to be there, or you're going to go see The Undertaker, or you're going to pay that extra money, because I guess he's charging $25,000 an hour, which more power to him. He's the fucking Undertaker. He spent almost 30 years as The Undertaker. If he wrestles this year and next year, that'll be 30 years in wrestling at least a match in a year in the WWE. Royal Rumble 2020 location has been revealed. We did not find this out until now. WWE and the Houston Chronicle have announced that the 2020 Royal Rumble pay-per-view will take place on January 26, 2020 from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. Minute Maid Park, of course, is the home of the MLB's Houston Astros baseball team. The Chronicle confirmed that the stadium will host the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches that year, kicking off the road to WrestleMania 36. WWE's Executive Vice President of Special Events, John Sabor, said Minute Maid Park will offer the same opportunities that WWE had from Chase Field and Phoenix from last month's 2019 Royal Rumble event. WWE has a wonderful experience at Chase Field, and that underscored our excitement with the decision to place the 2020 Royal Rumble at Minute Maid Park, said Sabor. In a press release, we want to expose the WWE brand and its events to as many people as possible, and that the size of facilities in which we present our major event is key catalyst. The board revealed that the WWE and the Harris Company Houston Sports Authority began negotiating to bring the Rumble to the Minute Maid Park back in summer of 2018. The Rumble was last held in Houston in 1989 at the Summit. This is the opportunity to build upon what has been a very special relationship built over several decades between WWE and Houston, Sabor said. The announcement from WWE and the Chronicle did not confirm an NXT TakeOver event from the Royal Rumble 2020 weekend or local dates for Raw, SmackDown, that event, which they will probably be in the wherever the Houston Rockets play, probably. WWE will be keeping up keep you updated on other days from that week. The WWE website has also announced that if you are going to the Elimination Chamber this Sunday at the Toyota Center, that's where it's at, the Toyota Center. That's probably where Raw, SmackDown, and TakeOver, there will be a TakeOver, will be happening. If you go to the Toyota Center and you bought tickets to this show, you will receive a pre-sale offer to buy tickets to the 2020 Rumble before they go on sale to the general public. Fans attending the pay-per-view will also have the chance to win 4 tickets to the 2020 Rumble through a special Twitter and Instagram contest. Full details on the Rumble tickets will be announced at a later date. So, if you're going to the Elimination Chamber and you want to go to the Royal Rumble next year, if you want to go to the Royal Rumble and you've never been there, or you just love going to the Royal Rumble, you have a chance to get a pre-sale offer to buy tickets before everyone else can going to the Elimination Chamber. So it does pay to go to those pay-per-views. It looks like the Royal Rumble is going to be a big stadium event from here on out, because this is 2 years in a row we have pay-per-view. We had the Royal Rumble going into a big stadium. I would not be surprised if SummerSlam follows suit eventually. I mean, WWE WrestleMania was the first to do it after WrestleMania 23, if I'm correct. He wanted just Vince McMahon just wanted stadiums. SummerSlam and Royal Rumble, I can see going there, and if Survivor Series just doesn't feel like it would do that. But if they wanted to make the big four, all 4 of them should be in stadiums. I don't think they could fill up a stadium for for Survivor Series though. SummerSlam maybe, Royal Rumble yes, WrestleMania of course. So we're going to see baseball stadiums probably and other stadiums for the Royal Rumble and for the foreseeable future, and probably going forward. It kind of wouldn't make sense if they're going to do this at Minute Maid Park next year to go 2021 and be like, yeah, we're just going to go to a smaller arena. No. You go to stadiums like this, you continue to go to stadiums. Maybe the Royal Rumble goes to baseball stadiums, whereas WrestleMania goes to football stadiums. Maybe it's just something they do. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Pete Dunne says he'd rather stay in NXT UK than work the main roster. Do you blame him? Did you watch Monday Night Raw? Did you watch all that bullshit that went on there? I wouldn't blame him. The National caught up with the NXT UK champion Pete Dunne, who opened about what his reaction might be if given a main roster opportunity. He said, and I quote, "I think there's two sides to that. So there's a side that this isn't a race. Like, personally, for my career, this isn't a race. I'm 25 years old, so if I could build this and spend a few years doing this and then maybe go to NXT in the U.S. and have more of a full-time schedule there and then eventually work my way to the main roster, it's definitely a slower burner. I think that's a good thing." But then the other side of it sort of is, I want to do, and if I had my choice right now, I'd still be here. If I had the option to go to the main roster, if I had the option to go more full-time in Orlando, I'd still be here because I've been passionate about British wrestling, because I've been a part of this when initially this was literally non-existent. So to bring it to this point is just exciting to see how far we can keep pushing it. Bryan also talked about a potential feud with Walter. It's an exciting prospect, you know. I think he's done great work on the independents and someone I wanted to have here for a long time. And I think he just goes to show how deep the talent pool is in Britain. I know he's not British, but he's definitely made a name over here. And I think, you know, it goes a lot deeper than that, too. I think that's how this man is going to continue to grow, is bringing in people like that. I can't wait to get in the ring with him. He's someone who's a completely different style than I've got the opportunity to work with in this company, so it's an exciting prospect. Quite honestly, I think Pete Dunne should stay in NXT UK. He is only 25 years old. He doesn't need to go to the WWE. Like, he can go NXT UK and be full after that. Be like, you know, I've done my time here. Nothing else I can do here. I'm gonna go over to the NXT UK, US, the main branch of NXT, and work there for about a couple years. Maybe win the UK championship, they mean the NXT championship over there. Be the first guy to hold both the NXT UK and the NXT mainline championship. That would be a huge stat for Pete Dunne. And honestly, I think he's going to be the one to do that. He'll keep the UK title for now until I think Walter or whoever. When that's done, when he graduates up to NXT mainland or NXT, the normal NXT, he will be NXT champion eventually and win that title and be the first guy to hold both NXT branch championships. We'll have to just wait and see. But him going to main roster, I would be like, no, he doesn't need to go there yet. You have enough talent on that brand. You don't need to go anywhere with that yet. WWE acquires the rights to MLW War Games from MLW. Mike Johnson, a PW insider, reports that multiple sources within WWE have confirmed that the company has acquired both the rights and trademark for War Games from MLW. WWE Hall of Famer Dusty Rhodes came up with the name and invented the dual steel cage concept, which debuted in 1987 for Jim Crockett Promotions. It later became an NWA staple. War Games was used by WCW until the company was acquired by the WWE in 2001. WWE later did release a War Games DVD set, but allowed the War Games name to enter into public domain. MLW took the advantage of this opportunity and used the War Games name in 2003 and successfully, can't talk for whatever reason, filed for copyright in 2007. WWE wanted to use the name back in 2017, which they did, called NXT TakeOver War Games, which I think is how they got away with it, but were told they couldn't not due to the MLW's copyright. According to the reports, WWE has been able to work out a deal with the MLW 7 months ago, and MLW will not be using the name or concept going forward. This is not a surprise. This is just WWE covering their back so they can use War Games for the foreseeable future. Hopefully this stays in NXT, because I would not want to see a War Games match in WWE, because it would become a pay-per-view over there. And yes, War Games is has been 2 takeovers. One, like, they've been doing iterations of it 2 years in a row. There'll be a third one probably this year. But the build to War Games this year started before Brooklyn. Started way before Brooklyn. Well, actually, the War Games build started at the aftermath of NXT TakeOver New Orleans when War Raiders made their debut, and it slowly burned up until we got to War Games. If War Games goes to the main roster and they do a War Games match on a main roster pay-per-view, it would be worse. It would be bad. They would just go out there and be like, oh, we need 4 people from one side, we need 4 people from another side. Let's throw 8 guys in here and make a War Games. It just would be hell compared to what we see in NXT. Look at most of the Hell in a Cell matches we see. They get thrown together at last minute. Hell in a Cell used to be one of those matches that when it gets announced, it's like, holy shit, this means something. This means business. We really didn't need to see Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match. We didn't need to see Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens in a Hell in a Cell match. And the only reason that match was even talked about is, one, it was scary as fuck that those two looked like they were trying to break the ceiling to have somebody fall through, and two was the fact that Sami Zayn turned heel. That's about it. I want to see, the only reason I see they did this was to cover their back and make sure that NXT can use War Games without it getting into any legal trouble. That is all of our WWE news. We're going to move a little over to AEW for now. Anonymous WWE star, though, reveals how AEW launch has affected backstage in WWE. With the launch of All Elite Wrestling and the company signing up some of the biggest free agents in the business, as well as reported, the AEW will be going after WWE superstars when their contracts expire. It has seemingly started a modern-day wrestling war between the two companies, despite what either of them will tell you. Do you really think either one of them is going to, we're trying to, we're going to fight over who, we're going to do that? No. They're going to try and keep themselves away, especially with tampering going out there. You can't go and tamper with anybody if they're under contract. On the latest of the Max Coon's Total Engagement podcast, he debuted a segment where he will ask questions to an anonymous WWE star. This week, Coon asked the superstar about All Elite Wrestling, and he revealed a very interesting tidbit regarding WWE's newly offered and signed contracts for their talent. He also mentioned how the launch of AEW has affected the culture and mindset of WWE superstars backstage. This superstar, which does not have his name revealed or her name revealed, because that's obvious, you don't want to do that. The boys feel more confident. The office wants us to think AEW has nothing to do with new contracts coming out. Bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. 6 months ago, 3 months ago, or two, I'm going to say 4 months ago, because there was talk about a wrestling promotion being done and All Elite Wrestling was talked about in December. 4 months ago, do you think WWE would be going, talking to superstars backstage at SmackDown who have their contracts coming? It's like, hey, we know your contract's coming up. We're gonna give you a 5-year deal for X amount of dollars. Can you sign this contract? No. AEW is a virus to WWE. AEW is a disease, a cancer. They are they're the ashes that are they're the dead firewood that someone has lit to start that fire in WWE. It has lit a fire under Vince McMahon's ass to get people to stay. The Revival asking for the release. Michael Moon and the Canellis asking for the release. Others asking for their release. Dan Ambrose not signing his contract and staying, or signing a new contract and leaving in April, just tells you how this is going. The fact that WWE wants to sit them, like these superstars are having the office tell us, and they have nothing to do with this. They have nothing to do with this. We're just making sure you get a contract so we don't lose your services, even if it's somebody that we don't even care about. This is AEW's fingerprints all over it, and AEW is going to do everything they can to get big-name superstars. Yes, they're getting the young, up-and-coming talent that none of us have heard about. I don't know who Jungle Boy is. I don't know anything about Sonny Kiss was his name. I don't know anything about Kylie Ray or Nyla Rose. It's like, you got to have a mixture of both. You can't just have big-name talent, because then it's going to get old and stale. You have to have the young, up-and-comers. So WWE is in a little bit of a tear. They're scared. They're fucking scared. How fast did AEW's Double or Nothing tickets sell out? 4 minutes. AEW's tickets sold out in 4 minutes. Now, is that 4 minutes of all the tickets? No. They sold out in 30 seconds on the pre-sale tickets. Unfortunately, the pre-sale tickets and the regular tickets, if you didn't get one at value price, which is $30 or $70 or something like that, StubHub and other things like that, those ticket reseller sites, people are jacking up the prices for you to get to AEW. I got blacklisted. I got timed out on Twitter for a week because some jackass came out and said, "Oh, I bought 3 sets of tickets for 5 tickets for AEW at $70 a pop." I had no intention of going, but if you pay $350 for this ticket right here, you can go to Double or Nothing. So people like that, I say, fuck you, greedy ass, and get the fuck out of here. I hope each and every one of you get hit by a fucking car and get severely injured. I fucking hate people like that. Because of assholes like you, there's a lot of people who want to go to Double or Nothing, can't go to Double or Nothing. So all I have to say again is, fuck you. There is absolutely no reason for scalpers to do this shit. But there's nothing you can do about it. And the sad part is, people, the email code thing that they did was fucking stupid for them to do. Because scalpers did this really simple. The fact that they gave you from Thursday to Sunday at like 11 to get a possible email code. How does the scalper get so many tickets? Oh, gee, I don't know. Continuously, like, you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You have like 3.5 days. Sit there and just continuously make new email addresses to go out and get as many codes as you can, and then enter all those codes so you can get as many tickets as you can. So Double or Nothing is AEW, and Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks have got to think of something better than this, because this is absolutely ridiculous that you have people, which I'm surprised when because I did watch that episode of Being the Elite, the not the comedy shit, just the more, like, some of the stuff. But when Hangman Page was like, here's a seating chart, we're going to put it up on Twitter, and then was like, yeah, there's going to be seats of like $70, $30, and it was like lower numbers. I'm like, yeah, this is a bad idea. This is going to get really bad because you're going to have scalpers go out there. They're going to get as many tickets as they can. They're going to find a way to get as many tickets as they can. And having people enter an email to get their tickets is just ridiculous. First and foremost, that was just a bad idea. And secondly, they got to think of something better, quite honestly. And with their next show, which will not be after Double or Nothing, which is supposed to be, I guess, in England, I don't think you'll have that much of a trouble with scalpers. I don't know how scalpers work in England, but something that they need to learn from is that if you're a hot ticket, find a way. Like, if you're a hot topic, which they are, this was definitely not something that you needed to do. Tony Khan, though. Tony Khan. Let's get talking about this. Where's it at? Tony Khan says AEW will give women a platform. AEW president Tony Khan was on the latest guest on Talk Is Jericho podcast. Khan opened about the inner workings of AEW and gave insight on what the fans can expect from the new promotion. Why now was right time for AEW? A number of factors, he said. I think economic factors. I think wrestling for advertisers now have become attractive. Advertisers can see there's a huge base of wrestling fans all over the world. They're really passionate and they're good people. They educate people and it's a really diverse group. I think there's a lot of really passionate fans around this group of wrestlers. The talent, yourself, the elite, and a number of competitors that are coming into this, Dr. Britt Baker, Kylie Ray, and Brandy, all the surprises we have planned for Double or Nothing. We got a really, really great engagement among the fans, and to me, that makes it right time to strike. Now, Kylie Ray, Nyla Rose, and Dr. Britt Baker will have a triple threat women's match at Double or Nothing. It was in the latest episode of Being the Elite. As well as a match card that they showed with Cody Rhodes versus an obituary opponent that was pixelated out so we couldn't see who he's facing. But Brandy Rose didn't seem really happy about it, so I wonder who it's going to be. When you have all these great talents with their contracts coming up, and we're in the market, there's TV money to be had, and we're in the right time to try and make a deal with a major network for a wrestling TV show. I think that it's right time for a number of reasons. It's something I've always wanted to do, and all of a sudden, it felt like the right time to strike. What was the catalyst for AEW? It just became more. I just became more sure of it for a long time. I just started to make more sense to me as I looked to the market, looked at the availability of performers in different windows, and saw, wow, in 2019 there's going to be a real opportunity here. Yeah, 2019 was like January of 2018 was a big opportunity because you had a lot of big names: the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, all opened to be able to go to either WWE, Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, or start doing promotion in AEW. The Elite, not Chris Jericho, but you know what I mean, and many others. This was honestly the best year to do this. Let's see here. It was public knowledge that their contracts were up, that stuff had been written in the Observer, that stuff had been put online about whose deals were coming up and who wasn't working with the deal. It was pretty public knowledge that you were about outworking other places, and also my knowledge of the TV market and media rights told me that there was going to be a really good climate for us to get involved with this, really. All the details came together at the right time, and this wasn't a one moment where I was 100% sure I was doing it. I went to being from 90 to 95 to 99.9%. I don't know if I can pin it down. It was a lot of factors over time. AEW being good for wrestling, it is, for sure. It's just going to be better for everybody. It will be better for the wrestlers, it will be much better for the wrestling fans, and it's going to be better for the companies. It will be great for guests getting started, but I think it will be great for everybody because it's just going to be much more interesting time to be a fan of wrestling. I absolutely agree with that. For the simple fact is, especially here in the States, if you're somebody who is a wrestling fan still, and you're a wrestling fan, but you don't want to watch WWE anymore because WWE has become insufferable. It's just garbage. WWE Monday Night Raw is a comedy show with wrestling that just has subpar half the time. The storylines insult your intelligence. You don't want to watch this crap anymore. It's for the kids, even though kids with brains would even tell you that half this shit is not funny. It's coming from all the shit you see on TV is coming from the mind of a 70-year-old man who is stuck in his teenage years, which were in the 60s, the 60s, the 50s or the 60s, where toilet humor was all the rage. Fart jokes and stupid shit like that was all the fucking rage and shit like that. None of that stuff's funny anymore. And people are tired of it. And the ratings just continue to fall. So that is just great, and giving us an alternative, something that people want to see. It could be a little edgy, not the TV-14 type shit. You can have adult mature storylines without having to be breaking PG ranks. Look at NXT. NXT is a PG show. It is, and it doesn't insult your intelligence. It is good television. The storylines make sense. The wrestling is good most of the time. There are, of course, the squash matches because NXT is a development brand for them still, for whatever reason. But it's just what it is. It is what it is. And this is going to hopefully help make WWE better. If not, this is one of those things that WWE will either have to adapt with the times, which they have not done in 10, 15, 20 years, or they will be left behind eventually. Not right away, but they will be left behind eventually, and the ratings will tank for WWE's Raw and SmackDown because nobody will watch Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live because they're passe, they're old news, and AEW is the new deal. On AEW's women's division. I think we're doing what we're doing with women's wrestling, and what we're going to do is going to be very exciting. It's only going to be more diverse and more interesting as we go. I am very excited about this. I think the athleticism and pace, the work rate we're going to be bringing to our women's division. I think we'll be above and beyond anything that's ever been done. It's just going to be different from what other people are doing. There's some amazing stuff being done in different places in women's wrestling right now. I think there are enough athletic, enough talented, enough incredibly charismatic women to build a division to me. That will be like WCW's Cruiserweight division, a division populated with great athletes who haven't had this kind of national exposure before, who are just going to shine under the spotlight and deliver really athletic, really fast-paced matches. The work rate of this division is going to be off the charts when you have the kind of discerning eyes for talent that you guys have involved. And we're putting out all these kinds of shows with the production values we're talking about. I think we're going to do some really exciting things for the women's wrestling too. Colin also talked about growing up as a tape trading wrestling fan, which is what you did back in the early 80s and 90s. Seeing Chris Jericho performed his last ever match in ECW and scoring a ring-worn Brian Pillman t-shirt. Readers may listen to all of them and Talk is Jericho. As long as All Elite Wrestling does what WWE won't do with the women's division, give us good matches, don't play favorites, don't have it like until Asuka faced Naomi for the women's championship at what was it? The night after the 2 nights after TLC, which was not a really good match, and then Asuka defended the title at against Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble. Those were the first 2 women's championship matches in probably I think 4 or 5 years that did on the main roster that did not have a blonde woman in it. Think about that. When was the last time somebody who wasn't blonde was in a match for the women's championship against somebody else who wasn't blonde? Because WWE likes the blondes. WWE likes blonde hair, big ass, big tits, small stomach, and that's what they love. That's why for so long Becky Lynch was thrown to the wayside. Why Asuka was made to look like a fool. Why Alexa Bliss is a 5-time women's champion. Why Charlotte Flair is going to be, well, there's many reasons why Charlotte Flair is going to be a double-digit women's champion by the time her career is over. Barring any, like, catastrophic injuries or anything, but you know. This was Tony Khan just telling you, quite frankly, that we're going to give you what other companies will not, and that is good wrestling. NXT gives you good wrestling for the women's for the most part. When you see an NXT TakeOver match minus Bianca Belair versus Shayna Baszler because of Bianca Belair being in the wrong role, the majority of the women title matches we've seen at TakeOvers have been spectacular, awesome, great matches, something I want to see on the main roster. Main roster, if it's not a Ronda Rousey match or a Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair match, it really has been subpar. Really has been. But we will have to wait and see. We do have Double or Nothing coming up on May 25th. I will be covering that. I'm not going to be there, not because I can't get tickets, just because I don't have, even if I got tickets, I wouldn't be able to go because I don't have a way to get there. But that is your unscripted episode 57 for your Saturday, February 16th, 2019. We do have the Elimination Chamber coming up tomorrow. Do you expect to see any title changes? I don't know. As far as I know, the big money says Finn Balor over Bobby Lashley. We will have to wait and see. I will be covering it, of course, on this channel. I hope to see you guys then. Until then, my name is Franz. I will see you guys tomorrow for the Elimination Chamber, Raw, SmackDown, NXT next week, and of course, episode 58 of Unscripted will be next Saturday. Make sure to find me on Twitter at TheFranz. Find me on twitch.tv for TV/TheFranz08. I want to thank each and every one of you watching. Make sure to give me as many comments as you want. If you like what you hear, what you don't like what you hear, let me know down below. Thank you for all who have watched all my content, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the Elimination Chamber.